what's up, Chiefs Kingdom? We're 8 days closer. Can't believe it's coming true. We're here with JP, Quentin, Tommy. Chiefs Focus Live, brought to you by Manscaped. Your balls will definitely thank you. Mine
Woo!
sure did. How you guys doing?
My balls are still intact, so it can't be a bad day.
Yeah, I didn't have to watch bad baseball, so we're up there. We're up there.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, bad baseball. Terrible.
Man, can you guys believe it's 8 days away from freaking the draft in Kansas City?
Blows my mind, man. I'm stoked, dude. Like,
Yeah,
it's a once in a lifetime deal, man.
The pictures of the stage that they're building.
Yeah.
It's a huge stage. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of it. I've just seen the pictures of like some of the supports that they've had to put up. I heard that they had to put some support beams underneath Union Station to help with the weight of the stage. It's going to be huge. So yeah, it's exciting. I had somebody tell me today they were flying out of KCI earlier this week. And they were there while the Raiders plane was flying in, and that KCI started hooping and hollering towards the Raiders airplane. So,
wow. Well, it's been all the talk here, and they're saying that they don't want to bring up too much about being in Kansas City. They want to bring up the fact that the Super Bowl is here in Vegas next year. I mean, I can understand them being upset about the fact that we're having the draft because even though they just had it last year, this is the first time we've ever had it. So,
hey, they're about to get a baseball team. They should be happy.
I don't really look, man. When they brought the Raiders here, I knew it was going to be a bad thing. I just knew it, and it was for the city. It was a bad thing. It's been a terrible thing, to be honest with you. Fucking crime is insane. People are idiots. 250,000 people moved here in a year. 1 year of it being opened, and now it's flooded. It's insane.
You're running out of water too, right?
Running out of water, running out of land. Dude, no matter where you turn, there's a new house. It's insane. You used to have mountains, and now you can't even see them. It's like, the hell? I might as well be living in Kansas if you're going to take all the mountains down. It's just dumb. But I don't know, man. They're going to bring an NBA team in here too. So you got WNBA, baseball, football, hockey. This town's too small for all this shit. Plus all the people they're bringing in here. Thank God I'm moving. But
look, that's crazy. We can't even get an NBA team here. We built the Sprint. Well, it's T-Mobile or whatever now, but we built the Sprint Center at the time. Yeah, it's Sprint Center, and we can't get an NBA team. And then they said, "Oh, well, we're going to bring a hockey team." Which I'm not a big hockey fan, but I like to watch a little hockey, especially on Sports Center because you get all the fighting and stuff. But it's kind of weird that Las Vegas, they're getting, like you said, the baseball, NBA, all this stuff is trickling down to them. But you already have buildings and structures already set in place. And hell, we're just now getting around to the point where we're going to take a baseball field and put it downtown. So just think, if we didn't have a baseball team, what would happen? It probably wouldn't happen,
True. Well, Mahomes is going to he wants an NBA team there, so it's going to happen, I think, no matter what. You guys are going to, it's going to come back. I remember when the Kings were there. So, and nobody went. Tickets were basically free. Parking was free basically everything. You got front row seats. Nobody, it wasn't like basketball games now. Mm-hmm. Back then, you could sit in the front row courtside for like $12.
Are we talking at the old Kemper Arena?
Yep. So back in the day, man. So it's funny. It's just how it's changed, but it is what it is.
Yeah. No, man, it's time to change in Kansas City. I think a lot of that you're seeing with the with the draft coming to us, and you just think about the growth of the city in general. And I think this has a lot to do with COVID and everything else, because it seems like people were flocking from the coast trying to get back to the country and just get away from people. And, our city is just continuously grown, man. Over the last 5 years, it's just been growing. And I think now that you do have that growth and all the new taxes, that generates with more people, I think you have the means to start bringing in, some other professional teams and upgrading some of the facilities like we're starting to do now, which is a good thing for Kansas City. I mean, I love living in the middle of the United States. I love where you can get some big city life, but then if you go 45 minutes west or, south, you can kind of get away from everything. You can't do that in, other places that are heavily populated. So Kansas City is definitely unique. So, being able to bring the NFL draft here is something special.
The whole time I lived there, 43 years, I never expected it to grow as quickly as it has and as much as it has. I mean, I went back. Every time I go back, I get lost. And I drove those streets for 43 years, man, and never had a problem. Well, 30 years of those, 43 years, and never had a problem driving around there. I mean, knew every street, knew everywhere to go. Man, I go back there now and I can't even find my old house, any of my old houses. It's insane. I was like, what the hell? I mean, I had to use Google Maps to get to my old house. That's sad. I've only been gone 10 years. So
I was expecting Q to come in with a crush and blow right there and say something.
Yeah, I was
your
waiting
age.
for him to say something, but he didn't yet.
He put it on the tee for you, Q, man.
What's up?
We
got this. We got Chiefs.
I gotta space it out,
So, what do you got, Quentin?
We've been doing this podcast for a while. I can't attack him every time. We gotta space it out.
That's true. I get attacked enough around here, man. So, what you got going on, man? What'd you put out on Twitter today that everybody had such a conniption fit about?
So Brett Veach had a press conference, right? Most teams, every team before the draft, it's their pre-draft press conference. There are some good quotes that came out with it. So I just want to tell you the quote, and I just want to hear your thoughts about it. I think there was some good stuff. I have some predictions now based on what I heard from Brett Veach today. So I'm just going to sort of tell you what I heard, and then you guys can tell me what you think about it. Does that sound good?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about is Brett Veach talked about Jawaan Taylor and says he has great flexibility, and also talked about how they have hope. We have, quote, a lot of hope for Lucas. So what do you guys think about that in terms of the offensive line?
Niang, I'm not really too concerned with him right now. I know he's had some injury issues and everybody's been so concerned about that, but I think he's going to be okay. Taylor, I was happy with that signing. I don't know about you guys, but I was happy. What about you, Tommy?
So you look at this twofold. I think the signing of Taylor shows the versatility and the plan for Veach. So he signed Taylor understanding that they don't have a left tackle. But he also knows that he's also signed one of the better tackles that is a right tackle as well. So that in itself gives him the flexibility into this draft to take the best tackle available, whether it be right or left. So I think kind of Veach is kind of showing you maybe a little in depth into his process of how he goes about, grading players in free agency, B, how he goes about selecting players in the draft. I think he's a real big believer in, best available athlete. I think he tries not to pigeonhole himself into just a specific need. I think he will address needs when it comes around. But I think, in essence, he kind of shows you exactly, how he goes about his business with the draft and how he goes about personnel decisions, when he's conducting free agency, and then also just rebuilding what needs to be a strength of the Kansas City Chiefs, which would be the offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing about Veach is he's 10 steps ahead of everybody else. So if he sees somebody in the 6th round, he ain't going to jump on anybody in the 1st round. If he knows they're going to drop and he just sees it happening, the guy's got a 6th sense. I don't know what it is, but he's good at what he does.
It's almost like he pays attention to the other teams ahead of him. And I don't know if he does. We're not in that circle, but it almost at times seems like he puts just as much time into finding out what the other team's plan of attack is in the draft and personnel and free agency than, as much as he does his own team. And I think that's probably what, at least gives him an edge above most, because I don't think a ton of time, because, as a GM and you're putting all these hours and days in trying to figure out what's best for your team, you probably don't put a lot of perspective into what everyone else is getting, maybe within your division. But I think he kind of looks at the whole, 31 teams that are out there, and he goes, you know what? Here's my list of players. Here's our needs, but what are your needs? Because, see, if I understand your needs, that means I may be able to set up my team better in the long run by being able to scope out people that you are not even going to be looking at. And I think that plays into the way that he kind of sends up smoke signals with bringing different players in, that I don't think he's really even really thinking about truly drafting, because I think if they fall to him, he'll take them, but I don't think he's going to really jump up and get anybody unless it's a lineman.
Yeah, it could be a trade piece. You never know you never know what's in his mind. Quentin, what were some of the comments on them? So you put a post out about this, right? And there were some comments, or was that later on?
Yeah, I've had I did have somebody, because when I talked about the fact that Lucas, what Veach said about Lucas, and in that same sentence, he also talked about how Darian Kinnard's flexibility, and they feel he can play tackle and guard. So, they do feel comfortable with these guys playing multiple positions. I think that this makes me believe that Kansas City's going to choose a defensive end. He sort of sold me that Kansas City's going to go defensive end in the first round. I had somebody push back on that and tell me, somebody commented on Twitter that, they don't think that the talent level is there, that they don't think that they would be shocked if a defensive end is picked in the top 3. Which
they don't think the talent's level there in defensive ends?
The person mentioned that, no, they don't think that the talent level is there with the defensive end.
Okay, they don't follow college football then. All right.
And just, it's fine. I appreciate the comment. I like, anytime people comment on my tweets, I read them. So,
yeah.
This makes me believe they're going with defensive end. I'm sold now.
Yeah.
It could be, because Niang, if you think about it, so the limited time that we saw Niang actually play, he struggled. He struggled. And it could have been, like I said, his first true snaps in the NFL, but he was constantly getting beat on the right side. But you can't go off a couple snaps. So you got to let a guy get in the league and kind of adjust, because it's a different level from college, right? And plus, you're playing probably the most difficult position on offensive line, which is, the tackle position, because you're usually one-on-one out there, right? Or you're getting a blitz combo off the outside. So the other thing, though, with Niang that concerns me, though, is his injury history, going back to college. It's hard to build a reliable offensive line if your pieces aren't going to be available. So I think, in essence, because they do have some depth, kind of like what Q was saying, that they're open to going ahead and getting a defensive end. But I think that's because, in essence, Veach has already got a tackle. So if you think about it, depending on what everyone's, first and second round picks are going to be, there may be a tackle that falls down in the second or third round that's damn good and can start on day one. And he might just pick him up there. So that does make sense to go get a defensive end first, especially if it's somebody that you have high on your board. If it's a top 3 person on your defensive lineman, you go get him.
I agree.
Yeah. The other thing, someone put in a comment about Richie James, Phillip did. Brett Veach said that when he was with the 49ers, there was talks about trading for Richie James when he was with the 49ers, and he eventually ended up on a roster. So I think that he becomes the number 4 receiver now. I do think that he sort of takes that Byron Pringle, Chris Conley role, right? A lot of special teams, but ends up being that number 4 guy. And if somebody gets hurt, you feel good with him stepping up and being a solid wide receiver. That gives me more confidence in that. The fact that 2 years ago you were looking to acquire this guy in a trade, and later on you're able to get him on your team, that makes me feel like this wasn't a this isn't really a flyer. This is more of a we trust this guy. We like what we've seen him for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, and what Philip's saying, I mean, I agree with what he's saying. He says, I don't buy what he said about Kennard and Niang. He said, I know when Veach is throwing up smoke screens just to throw teams off to get the guy he wants. Look at the top 30 visits. It's true. I mean, there's been some guys that he's had in 2-3 times, now. I understand one visit. I even understand 2 visits. But when you get past that point, there's something there that you want. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. I'm really kind of surprised that some of that's gotten out, but I mean, it is what it is. You can't not. I guess it's one of those things. It's going to get leaked no matter what.
I think it's intentional.
Leaked, so.
I think a lot of it's intentional. I think
could be.
Because look how quiet-lipped everything's always been since Veach has been in the house. I don't think things just slip out of that, and I think that's why his circle is so tight. Is because he's kind of like a no-nonsense guy. Like, we're a close-knit group. You break that trust, you're out of here. You know what I'm saying?
I've been a little upset about his tight-lippedness this year. I mean, look, man, this ain't been fun, Mr. Veach. I don't like the fact that you're hiding somewhere in a cave talking about this shit because, I mean, I don't give away anything, and I'm still getting hanged. I haven't gotten a lot of stuff lately, and it's starting to upset me. The last 2-3 players I hear about last minute, and then they announce it. I'm like, damn, man. But kind of is what it is. You can't change it. I'm kind of glad he's doing what he's doing. We don't say nothing, but I know there's some groups out there that, hear things through the grapevine somehow, and sometimes they put stuff out that is true, sometimes it's not. We say nothing. We don't put it out unless we're told to. But hey, it is what it is. I'm kind of glad he's doing what he's doing. At least when I look at how he operates, especially this year, all he's looking at right now is, what are these other 31 teams doing? What do they need? Who do I think they may be going after? And then what am I going to do to beat them? Because that's all I care about. He doesn't care about anything else. He wants to make sure he's still the number 1 team going into the next year, just like he was last year and the year before and the year before that. Even with moves, with all the moves that's happened. I mean, what do you say? What Philip's saying? He says Quentin can see them going edge in round 1. I'd be cool with it, but I see the Chiefs visit with mid-round Eagles like, who does that say? Thuman? Oh, Thurman Jones. Harvard, DJ Johnson, from Oregon. Hey, man, that dude from Oregon's a beast. Don't let anybody fool you. He's a beast. That's the one I actually talked to JJ about. And I said, damn, man, that dude there's crazy good. And he actually agreed with me. He said, I was blown out of the water watching him play. He said, I was just amazed. And he, JJ's a duck. So once a duck, always a duck. He's gonna ride or die with those guys. I mean, they gave him his opportunity in the NFL when he didn't have a shot. So, but I'm pretty amazed with that player. He's pretty strong. What else you got, Quentin?
Well, the Richie James point, right, that he said that they tried to trade for him when he was on the 49ers a few years ago. So this is just another example of a guy getting what he wants eventually.
Getting his 360. I mean, we see how many times have we talked about this on the show, Quentin? How many times is this man either wants somebody in the draft, can't get him, or he wants somebody that's on another team from the draft that he couldn't get? Maybe a year goes by. Somehow he ends up with them within a year or two. He ends up with that player. As long as they're not injury riddled, he ends up with that player. And that's just, he's done it time and time and time again. He knows when somebody's going to fit within a system and when they're not. And he just bides his time. And I love the fact that he's got that much patience. Philip said DJ Johnson and Kayvon Thibodeau tore it up, or they did. They were beasts together. You're absolutely right. But I just love the fact that he's able to, I don't know, man, he's got an insane mind. Got to give him that. So
let's just tell you how in depth Veach's his boards are with his personnel, because you think about the player he gets, but then he keeps tabs on all those players. Like that's
college, high school.
Yeah, I mean that thing never stops, right? It's a continuously flowing board of personnel, so that's kind of cool to think about. But then again, it definitely speaks to the way his mind thinks about personnel in the draft. Is that like you guys say, if he spots the talent that he can't get his hands on, he just puts that talent to the side and says, first availability that I have to get him without breaking the bank, I'm gonna go get him.
Yeah.
And it
he usually does it within those
good.
first couple of seasons when they're still under that rookie deal, like Tony. You know, I mean, he wanted Tony in the draft, couldn't get him. He got Tony, still got him under a cheap deal. So, and look, man, when you got a guy like Veach that you hear, okay, well, I just found out he was in Eastern Montana at a middle school watching a football team, and then tells the head coach, hey, I want his film, and I want to know where he goes to high school, where he goes to junior college, and I want to know who the coaches are. I want to keep tabs. That's insane. That's not a normal GM. And that's what he does. He doesn't expect other people to do it. He does it on his own. I mean, he's been spotted at Green Bay games looking at their practice squad guys that they brought up that he knew were going to go back to practice squad, who he may be able to trade with Green Bay, who he may not be able to trade. The man, he just, I don't know. He's got a work ethic like Andy, and Andy taught him well. There's just no doubt about it. Andy taught him well. You got to give him that. What else was put out today, Quentin?
Okay, so he says that cornerbacks, he was talking about the cornerbacks room, and he I found this really tipped me off here. He compared the cornerbacks this draft class to the running backs to last year's draft. The Chiefs are picking a corner in the late rounds. I don't know who it's going to be, but I know that they're picking one because that's exactly what happened with the running backs last year. They obviously, they went and they picked up who might end up being one of the better running backs in the league in this upcoming year. But it's talking about that it's a numbers game. You have to throw numbers at it. And he said that there's some, I think his words were, there's a 5th round talent that's going to be in the 7th round. So we're going to see a corner go late.
Yeah, I agree. And then look, man, how many times have we seen these corners that everybody or players in general that everybody pass on, and they end up being stars with us? Year in, year out. It never fails with us. 6th and 7th round picks, and nobody even considers them. I mean, Trey Smith, 3 years, past a blood clot, and nobody wanted to touch him. I know
6th round, right?
7th. Oh no, was it 6th round or 7th round? They got Trey.
Yeah, I think it was 5th or 6th.
It was the 6th round. Look, man, when you can do so, and look, I know COVID may have played a small part in that because they said they couldn't see him work out, this, that, and the other, but he still played. He was still able to do things. And Veach took a chance on him. Why not take a chance on the 6th rounder that had that much talent? Why not take the chance? What's it going to hurt you? Nothing. It's not going to affect you in the least. And he ended up being a great player. So I don't know. I'm excited, man. I'm really I think this is the most excited I've been about a draft in a long time.
That's why we got to go get another lineman. You're one lineman away from having a complete offensive line and maybe the best offensive line in the league, protecting the best quarterback in the league with the best offense in the league. Think about that just for a little bit. If you can solidify that line and you give Mahomes all day to throw, what do you think he's going to be doing if he's back there patting the ball? Because that was one of his things he did in 2018 and 2019 was he was holding the ball a little bit too long. He liked to pat that ball. But, man, if you got time to pat the ball, somebody's getting open. And how he's always looking downfield.
And we talked about this on a prior show. When you're doing your reads 1 through 5 or 1 through 6, and you can do that twice, okay, that's some time. That's time to eat a sandwich, go give your wife a kiss, tell Andy hi, give him a little hug, come back and throw the ball. That's crazy shit. That's something Burrow does not have and still will not have with Orlando Brown Jr. Because they ain't spending. I'm telling you right now, they ain't spending damn money on that offensive line. They're just going to let him suffer. Oh, your knee hurts? Suck it up. You got hit. You got a concussion? Suck it up. It's just what they're going to do to him, man. I could see it. The writing's on the wall. So, I don't know, man. I mean, if they go rookie and they pick the way they've been picking, Cincinnati, that is, they're screwed. They're screwed. I mean, I'm sorry, but they are. Give me 1 second here. But yeah, it's pretty insane to think that these guys Veach has done what he's done in the minimal amount of time that he's had. I'm excited about it. we are going to go. I'm going to do a little quick break real quick, and then we will be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Use the code ChiefsFocus to get 20% off of your order. Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to flash that up there a few hundred times because it's well worth flashing. Hey man, you know what? Look, we've had sponsors in the past and we've done things, and it's always nice. We got some really cool stuff from Foco Sports has some of the best stuff out there. But I got to tell you something. When Manscaped sent that kit, it took me a few days to even mess with it. I didn't want to try using it. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I ain't never done, no junk cleanup like that anyway. And holy crap. I'm not kidding you, man. What a kit. Damn. I have you even tried this shit, Quentin? Have you tried it at all?
Yeah.
Don't be embarrassed. You're a man. You got balls.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you do anyway. I hope they dropped. Brad's on here.
You use no more than your balls, all right?
Well, look, Brad said, "Quit flashing your balls." At least ours have dropped, buddy. It's a hell of a kit. Look, man. And we're giving away a free kit, but this spray right here. Did you try that? The little bottle. It's called Crop Reviver. That's what it's called. All I can tell you is that it definitely isn't Brute by Fabergé. The shit feels good. Then, and I know I'm going a little long on this, but I have to because I'm pretty amazed by how good this shit is. They have Crop Preserver. You can preserve your crop. They got deodorant for your balls. Everything they got is amazing. And then they got, of course, your body cleanser. They even got stuff for your feet, with your stanky ass feet out there, Brad. They got cologne. They got the Plow 2.0, which is actually a razor blade that does not cut your nuggets. That's amazing. And then they got the Crop Mop, which is basically it's basically a ball wipe. It wipes your balls down.
Keep those balls fresh.
That's not all they got. Yeah, they keep your balls nice and fresh.
Getting nose blind, gentlemen.
Yeah, so clean and so fresh. It just is what it is.
Hey, your wife will appreciate you more with this product. Trust me.
I can attest to that. I can absolutely attest to that. It's pretty amazing, man. I never purchased the stuff. I never even thought about it. I had seen it, and I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold on this shit. So it is what it is. By the way, if you guys go out there, use Chiefs Focus. You get 20% off your first order. And you also, if you prove that you ordered something, we have an entire 4.0 kit that we will give away to one lucky person. So if you want to get your balls nice and clean and keep them that way, and also get a kit that will continue to keep them that way, man, you can buy whatever you want. Try out the razor blade. Try out the shampoo. Try out the body wash. I don't care what you buy. Just try it out. You're going to like it. And you enter in to get this entire kit. Comes with a nice... Oh, Quentin, I don't know if you've tried them yet. These are the most comfortable freaking underwear I've ever had in my life, and I've had a lot of fucking different kinds of underwear. But these boxers are the shit. I'm telling you, they make silk feel like potato sacks. These things are amazing to me.
You want me to write a paper about how comfortable they are? Is that what you want?
See this thing? I've had these little round nose hair trimmer things. I bought probably 15, 20 of them. Mm-hmm. This motherfucker here is a nose hedge trimmer, and you don't feel a damn thing. I mean, one, it's gone. Everything's gone. Just one zip, and it's out. I'm amazed. I'm thrilled. And you get a nice T-shirt. It says your balls will thank you for it. Okay, moving on. Brad said, "Oh wow." I know this is driving Brad crazy because the name just drives him nuts, and the fact that we're talking about ball cleansing and ball manicuring is just driving him crazy right now. I don't know why it bothers him. Oh, it just drives him nuts. And I love the fact that I can say Manscaped 55, 40. It doesn't matter how many times I say it. It's going to make Brad upset. And I love the fact that I'm doing it. Look what Philip said. He said, better than Calvin Klein and H&M. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you can go out and spend all that big money if you want. These are better. Just saying just spitting facts right now. Spitting facts.
Hey,
all
the
right.
theme of the story is take care of your balls and they will take care of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what else is really cool? I'm going to spit this out because this is something that I think is awesome. Every year, Manscaped takes a portion of their sales, a fairly large portion actually, and they donate it to testicular cancer research.
It's awesome, man.
And I think that, and people don't realize how many men have that, but I think it's about 1 out of 8 get it in America at some point in their life. So I think that's something that is really, it's a stand-up thing to do. And if you can donate 25% of your revenue to a cause like that, I think it's awesome. And that's what they're doing. So you're not only helping, yourself, but you're helping guys out there that may need the help. It just is what it is.
It's good cause.
Anyway.
Good cause.
Yeah, good, great cause. All right, Quentin, let's move on. I'm sure Brad's probably beat red right now, right? Looking like a tomato. Ain't nobody in the room. Brad's in belt. He's all blushed up right now. I don't know why, but we can move on. What else did you do today? I know you did some shit.
Let me
today.
just ask you.
You fucked with people, and people got all kinds of nippled out. I don't know what happened, but they got their nipples twisted. Just crazy comments. We had to bring up some of these comments because they're kind of comical, especially the guy said that the defensive edge group wasn't that strong in this draft class. Honestly, don't know what colleges he's been looking at.
Yeah.
But good God, Lord, this is a strong defensive edge class. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, well, I think the argument is that, we're not going to get any, studs to start and that you're just going to get rotational pieces. But that's the way defensive ends work now in the NFL anyways. You don't see guys play every single snap really anymore unless you're the J.J. Watts or the T.J. Watts or the Nick Bosas of the world, right? Most of the time, guys are mostly rotational pieces anyways, but I digress. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on what are you just looking more, forward to the most? Like, I'm excited to see all the Super Bowl rings lined up, because they're going to have all the Super Bowl rings there at the pre-draft process. So just what are you guys excited for pre, post, during the draft? What are you guys excited about?
Tommy, go.
Man, mine is actually just seeing who they're going to draft, man, because just seeing how important that the draft is to the success of our football team and every football team for that matter, just understanding that, a couple bad picks could set you back for years. And that's one thing that I think in the past has happened with some of the Chiefs drafts pre-Brett Veach that, we just didn't do a good job of drafting and we didn't put ourselves in a good position to, to build a team. And now we have the opportunity where we have the team built. Now we got to, add to what we already have. So I think just seeing who we're in the draft, I think that's my biggest anticipation. The other thing is just seeing how the city's going to handle the influx of people coming in. It's already crazy downtown, man. We don't have the best, streets and parking and stuff like that. But I love Kansas City. It's a great city, though. I love everything about it, besides the parking downtown. But that's most cities. Parking sucks. But, just being able to see the influx of people come into Kansas City and they experience our culture, man. And one thing that you're going to see, I guarantee you, every barbecue place in Kansas City is going to be packed. So if you think you're going to put a reservation down to Q39 or somewhere like that, it ain't happening, man. And I just hope that we represent, the city well when the draft comes here and that, talk shows talk about how, great the draft was, how successful it was, and how Kansas City treated everybody the right way.
You know what? I absolutely agree with everything you said. And one thing, the national media has never really put a huge spotlight on Kansas City other than the barbecue. I mean, every time you hear the national guys that come in town, they talk about how great the barbecue is. Which, look, it is. There's nobody in the country that makes better barbecue than Kansas City. I'm sorry.
True.
I don't care what you think in Memphis. I don't care what you think in
Nashville
Texas.
barbecue sucks. Had it.
Nashville
Bad.
barbecue sucks. Bad. Horrible, nasty, vinegar shit. But Kansas City, they treat people so well. And the one thing that we hear so much about from other fan bases is when they're in town, especially like rival fan bases. When you listen to Bills fans, how gracious Kansas City fans are to them. And that's something that you should just be proud of that. You can't get that in Philly. Go to Philly in a Chiefs hat right now. You got to bring a gun and a bodysuit. I mean, it just is what it is because somebody's going to shoot your ass or shank you.
Did they tear up that Chiefs bar that's in Philly?
Somebody said they did. Somebody said they trashed it pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. That's
yeah,
what
they trashed it pretty good.
That's Bush League, man. That's Bush League. Why would you tear up somebody's hard, worked establishment that they've sunk in their, hopes and dreams in just because your team lost, man? Now, you can tear up your own crap if you want to, but don't go out and tear up somebody else's.
Dude, they tear up the whole damn town. They bust through Metro bus. They stand on shit. I mean, dude, they greased the light poles so people wouldn't climb the shit.
I saw
when you got a Vaseline,
dude, when they won the Super Bowl, somebody ate horse poop.
Yeah.
What?
Somebody ate horse shit.
Yeah, because they got the horses, the police horses, and of course, the horse just let it rip and somebody ate it. Somebody scooped it up.
I don't know, man.
Well, we don't each game on this show, but
is what it is. That ain't normal. I don't care.
That ain't normal, man.
That ain't normal.
That ain't normal.
Phillips working day 3, he said. He said, I'll be working day 3 at Union Station. Looking forward to seeing who we get next Saturday. Yeah. What's Corey saying? He said he's been doing something. All right. Sorry I'm late. Been spending a lot of time praying over the porcelain gods today. Huh. Well, I did not know that you get better quick. If you look at what I'm most excited about is just the city in general and how happy they're going to be. How happy and excited this city is to finally get something and us be on the national spotlight. I mean, we've been a low market city for so long that this is now just, it's amplifying who we are. And nobody else can say that right now. So, not to mention, we've been great for 5 years straight, 10 with Andy, I guess, or 12. But for the last 5 years, we've been unbelievably good. And now we got all the national people in town. We're going to be the spotlight on every sports channel, every local channel that wants to, have that's going to have the draft on, with every football team in the country. It's going to be awesome, man. And to see the pissed off fans, and we got to get some film footage of some war rooms when Veach does his thing. We need some more of that. We need some more film. We need war room film. What do you think? What are you excited about, Quentin?
I think the pre-draft stuff's going to be cool, right? They're going to have every Super Bowl ring except the recent one because they haven't been made yet. But they're going to have all those on display. You're going to see the 3 Chiefs Lombardi trophies, right? I hope that there's Chiefs Super Bowl champion stuff just everywhere, right? I want to shove it in everybody's face.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited for the atmosphere. Look, what makes going to sports games fun is not just the watching the game. It's the fact that you can high five whatever dude is sitting next to you, right, when you score. So I want that. I just want that experience, that atmosphere, and what that's going to bring. That's exciting. That's what's really exciting to me.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. It's crazy to think that every time we've ever hosted a team, even our rivals for the most part, going back years, we were always good with their fans, except for the Raiders. I don't know if anybody ever knew what went on back in the 80s and 90s, but damn stupidity.
JP, this goes back to the AFL, bro.
I
We
know
don't
it
like
does,
each other.
but damn,
Like
I know, but
even
the
Chris
damn
Berman said it
stupidity.
ain't a football game between the Chiefs and the Raiders unless there's a fight, bro.
Oh, when you
He
see
even said the
somebody
Chiefs
coming
and the
off of the
Raiders.
nosebleed section and landing on people 2 decks down, that's when you know the Raiders are in town, because that's just what happens. I'll never forget. I got to tell you, the guys, this really quick. So we're playing the Raiders one time. I'm up in the stands. This, I don't know, it's probably pretty low, but 10, 15 rows back from the field, basically. And this little kid pops out in his Raiders gear. He's probably about maybe 8 years old. He's got all his Raiders stuff on. Raiders fan.
I'm sorry.
Poor little kid. So
That's
he
damn near
gets
child
up.
abuse.
It really is. So he gets up, and there were a lot of drunk ass fools at that game, and there was already some hostility going along and going around, and it was pretty volatile at that point. And this little kid gets up, and he wants to go to the concession stand. And at that time, you could let your kid go to the concession stand at 8, 9, 10 years old and not feel so scared about it. Yeah. So the little kid starts up the step. This 400-pound, just nasty ass dude jumps up and just screams in this kid's face, "What the hell are you doing here? Get that bullshit off your," just screaming about you Raider son of a, just lost his mind on him. Well, the kid startled him, and he fell backwards down one step. He didn't fall, but he stumbled backwards down the step. He goes down and he tells his dad, "Dad, this big fat guy yelled at me." Well, his dad stands up, and he's like this skinny ass, I don't know, accountant, just couldn't probably hurt a fly. And he stands up and he goes, "Who was it that yelled at you?" He says, "That guy up there." He didn't know which guy it was till he got there. This fat ass stands up, starts screaming in this guy's face. About that time, 12 Chiefs fans, 12 of them, just out of nowhere, told this other fat Chiefs fan, "Sit your fat ass down, shut the hell up. We're going to whip your ass. All of us will pick you up, throw you down the steps." This little kid and his dad were amazed that the Chiefs fans were so nice because they were Raiders fans, and that's what you won't see from a Raiders fan. You won't see that. Mm-hmm. If something like that was to happen, vice versa, Raiders fans would they wouldn't do a damn thing. They wouldn't help that kid. I love that about Kansas City, and that's what everybody else should love about Kansas City. That's what I'm excited to see everybody in town, man. I'm just happy to see it happen. I'm really happy to see what the Raiders. I want to see what the Raiders are going to do. That is like one of my. I think that's one of my favorite parts of this draft. Is to see what the Raiders are going to do to fuck up, because they've been doing it for. They're going to do something to screw up. I have no doubt in my mind. They're not going to do well. McDaniels is not good at what he does in any stretch of the imagination. And I think they're going to really draft poorly.
Well, the last 4 first-round picks have either been cut or ended up in jail. So
yeah, there you go.
Ruggs, Henry Ruggs, that idiot, man.
Hell, look at all of them. You got Arnett, you got
Alex
Leatherwood. Hell, half the Raiders got DUIs out here the first year they were here. So, it is what it is.
What are your chances? I keep hearing people on the radio talking about, there's an opportunity, if things fall a certain way that Kansas City would, entertain, trading back. I think there's no chance in hell they trade back the first round pick. I just don't. There's a possibility if somebody just gives you a buttload, but I don't think anyone's going to give you a buttload of picks for the 31st overall selection. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'd have to get a bucket load of picks to do that, right? Or what do you guys think?
I just don't see there not being a guy worth taking at 31, right? We've talked about how deep this defensive end is, and if that is truly, your biggest need, I think there's going to be defensive end there for you to like what you have and like what you take. And I don't know if it's worth the risk let's say you gain another, third round pick or whatever. Is it really worth it to potentially pass up on a guy that can play opposite Karlaftis? So I just don't know if it's worth the risk to pass up on another quality player, because defensive end is such a need, and there are plenty of guys that you can get. So
I agree.
And then also on top of that, you already have 10 damn picks. Like, you got plenty of picks this go around. So, and there's not enough spots on the roster, too. It's not like last year where, there were plenty of spots on the roster to come in and fill in the spots. There are not 10 open spots on the roster right now.
Well,
at least on the active roster. You can always put guys on your practice squad, but you aren't drafting guys to put on your practice squad.
And that's why I think they're going to be more aggressive in the draft this year. I think even more than last year, because of the fact that they have so few spots to actually fill, and you have a surplus of draft picks. So why not bundle some draft picks so that you can move up and get the key players that you really want? Because you really don't even need all 7 draft picks really at this point. I think you need to come out. I think if you come out with 5 players that give you starting quality time in their first year, I think that's a successful draft. I really do. Because at the end of the day, go ahead.
Oh, I just think it's more likely the Chiefs trade up in the second round or third round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I think they stick with their first round pick at 31. I think it's more likely they end up moving back into the second or third round, because I think there's a ton of value there, right? We've talked about how there's no blue chip players. There's not a ton of oh my God talent, right? There's no Nick Bosa or Jamar Chase coming out in the draft, but there's a ton of talent that, getting back in the top 100, the 60, 70-ish overall pick, there's a ton of guys that are going to fall there. So I think I feel like it's more likely the Chiefs package pick 95 and 116, and they move up and take a guy in another pick in the third round or something like that.
I agree. I mean, look, Veach has kind of proven at times in his career that he doesn't really value the first round pick if there's nobody there that he wants. The only way you will see him trade back is if for some reason one of these defensive or offensive linemen start to drop. If he sees them falling and they're falling and he's hearing rumors that they may not get picked up, they're going to fall into the second, maybe fall into the third, and he really wants that player, you may see that happen. But, man, that's highly doubtful he does that. Look, we've lost – what did we lose? 1 year we lost both of our first-round draft picks, I think it was, and we had 2, and we lost both of them. I don't remember what trade it was. But he ended up getting 1 back, and he wanted that one specifically for a player that ended up falling to the third round. So, and he didn't get the player anyway. So, I don't know, man. I have a hard time believing he would do that. You got a lot of these talk show hosts that like to stir up the pot, and bring the controversy and all that shit. But Veach has got he marches to his own beat of the drum, man. He just doesn't play. So I think he's just keeping everybody on swivel right now. That's what he's doing. He's just
it's gonna be intriguing also to see who falls, man. That they have that list of players that they invite, and there's always a couple players every year that kind of fall down, farther than what was expected. So that's gonna be kind of interesting too, because if you think about it, every single draft has got some hidden gems, man. Some guys that just come out and are just studs. And where was Michael Parsons? Where was he drafted at? I can't remember. My memory's bad, but where was Parsons drafted at? He wasn't a first round guy, was he? Or was he?
I thought he went in the first round, didn't he?
Yeah, he went 12th overall.
Yeah, he was
okay.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that everybody was drooling over.
So you think the guy at Alabama is going to be something similar to him?
I would say he's probably going to go top 20. Wouldn't you think, Quentin?
Okay.
I mean, I think that there are any, especially when you get guys like Micah Parsons, right, that athletic, you aren't exactly sure how, where to put him as an outside linebacker or a defensive end. I think there are a lot of teams out there that just see the talent and they're like, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
And so athletic freaks like that can end up going pretty early just because teams will see it and be like, I can make that work. I'm not sure how we're going to use him, but I can make that work.
See, that's what makes me wonder about the kid out of LSU, Ojulari, man. I think he's a freaking stud, man. He's a junior. He's coming out in this year's draft as an edge rusher. And I've heard a couple of people talk about him, and I think he reminds me a lot of Frank Clark, but he's more athletic than Frank Clark. And he's got a lot of rawness to him, but he shows so many diverse ways to get into the quarterback. And he's not just a edge rusher per se. He actually defends the run really well. And I haven't heard a lot about him, but I mean, I've watched. If you go back and watch his tape, you guys go on YouTube and watch him. The guy's he's a freak, man. He's really hard to block, and for his size, I mean, he can bull rush, but then he's got spin moves and everything else, and he's really good with his hands. So that was a guy I was wondering if the Chiefs would even look at.
Well, Phillips got he says the one hidden wide receiver Jim to look at who could be the Pacheco of wide receivers is Demario Douglas from Liberty or Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State. Xavier Hutchinson, I've watched him. I haven't seen Demario Douglas play, but I have seen Hutchinson, and he's kind of a freak. He's got some mad skills that I think would fit within our system very well. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I feel like. I agree with you, Philip.
What round would you pick him up in, though?
I think he's probably going to go late. I think he's probably going to go late
round?
Anyway. Yeah, probably fourth round.
There are so many of these guys that are just like, I look at it and I'm like, you're not first round talent, so you're going to fall into that that third, fourth round area. Here's what I will say though: whoever they pick with their first round, whatever selection it is, defensive end, offensive lineman, wide receiver, whatever they end up drafting, I think it'll tell you what they think about that room. Because wherever they go, we can pretty much agree that if they picked that position because there was a depth issue. So wherever they end up going, I think that you'll be able to see what they think about that group of players.
Phillips think Douglas could go into the 7th round. Hey, he probably could. I mean,
it's smaller schools, right? I mean, that tends to happen. So
it's pretty sad that other teams haven't caught on yet.
I mean, there's only so many, picks that could go. There's only so many first, second, third, fourth round picks, right? So somebody has to be drafted. Somebody has to be Mr. Irrelevant. Somebody has to go undrafted.
But my point is why haven't other teams figured out that there's so much talent in the 6th and 7th round and the undrafted guys?
Well, I also think that it's not just who you're getting, it's who you're going to. I think we don't give enough. I know we will occasionally say it, but there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes that we will ever know about.
Oh, absolutely.
A great example of this is quarterbacks, right? Like, who's to say that if pick whatever quarterback that's been a bust over the last 5 years, if they would have went to a different team, who's to say that they're not, maybe not the best quarterback in the league, but who's to say that they're not the 8th best quarterback in the league instead of being, out of the NFL right now? So I think where they go and how the system is around them really does impact them. So, if take one of the corners we drafted this year and you put him in, I don't know, Cleveland, like, are they as successful? Probably not.
No.
Yeah, I agree with you. He said Demario Douglas was Malik Willis's number 1 target at Liberty before he got drafted. I'd always love to see Jordan Addison. Yeah, Jordan Addison's not a bad player. I like him a lot. Weirdly enough, I watched Malik Willis towards the end, and I didn't know who his wide receivers were, to be honest. That's pretty cool that now I know. Because Malik did have he was pretty damn good. I mean, I like what he did. I like his backstory. I think more than anything else, I do like his backstory. He went to Liberty to put them on the map. He traded from a big school down to them he moved himself just to help put them on the map. And I think that's pretty admirable to do something like that. Corey's saying maybe we can get them both undrafted. That'd be nice. It'd be a dream come true. Let's cut to a real quick commercial and we'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Use the code ChiefsFocus to get 20% off of your order. Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
Okay. They will thank you. Mine are thanking me right now. Sit in a hot ass leather car in Vegas for a while. You need to be trying some Manscapes. Anyway, what else you got, Quentin? What else did you do today that riled some people up?
There was the last thing that I have on here two things. One, we'll go with the funny one first. Somebody asked him if he was, let's see here. Somebody asked him what he would have thought if he was younger when he was a kid, and what he would have thought about going to this event. And he was just talking about how that there's probably someone kid that's coming from around the country that's going to end up being an NFL player or working in a NFL front office. And I thought that was just kind of a cool thought. Like, if you could imagine your first experience as an NFL fan, like 6, 7, 8 years old, is coming to Kansas City and you get to see the NFL do what it does best, right? And put on a show. And then eventually you're going to end up in a front office or being an NFL player. So I just thought that was kind of cool. And then somebody asked him if he would have booed Goodell. And he says, probably, yeah. So.
What NFL commissioner hasn't been booed, though, right?
Yeah.
It's true. It's just it's a tradition. So
I changed my answer. I'm excited to boo Goodell. That's what I'm excited. That's on the bucket list,
Yeah. I don't know, man. I couldn't.
Controversies of when he hasn't done anything, like when he's been slow to make a move, which is weird because usually it's the other way around. When you have controversy with one of the leaders for one of the major sports, is that they move too quickly and they do something that's out of the box. Where Goodell's like, they didn't do anything, and so then he came under scrutiny, or when they did do it, they didn't do it enough. You know what I'm saying? Because it goes back where I think his biggest thing was the Ray Rice, right?
That didn't help.
Yeah, that didn't help him at all.
No,
and then he went overboard the other direction. After that, it was the next player.
Overcorrection.
The overcorrection, and then it was the undercorrection again. Then he said, "Fuck it," with this whole situation now, I'm just gonna put myself to the side with the Deshaun Watson situation, and I'm gonna let somebody else take care of this because the two things I tried to figure out, because I'm a PR guy, didn't work out in my favor, because that's what he is. He's a PR guy. He wanted to see what the backlash was going to be with the 6-game suspension, then an 8-game suspension. Neither one of them worked out for him. Got his ass chewed. Every fan hated him. It just was, it is what it is. He had women rights activists beating down his door and everybody else, which, hey,
poor choice of words.
No, I mean, it's true. And it's rightfully so. I mean, look what the guy did, or if allegedly. But
look, Roger Goodell's an asshat. Roger Goodell's an asshat, but he's really good at his job too. So
he's a very good marketer, man.
We can agree. We can talk about how he's really good for the NFL, but is also an asshat.
He's upped the NFL.
He's making money.
Yeah, he's like $60 million, I think is
50 a year.
So
50 a year.
Well, just think how much the league is making though. Like the revenue the league has increased since he's been in office. It's stupid, and we're going overseas consistently now in other countries. So the brand of the NFL is expanding a lot since he's been in office as well.
Yeah.
See what happens when Corey talks. He gets put in timeout.
I will for Tuesday's show. I have a clip that I'll show you guys about one of the big things that Roger Goodell did. Why I don't like him. So, but I'll find the clip and we'll play it on Tuesday. We'll have a teaser for Tuesday.
Brad said, "I'm surprised you didn't talk about Quentin and Zay working out with Mahomes."
Here, we'll talk about it. How about this? I don't care because this happens all the time. That players will go and they'll work out. I don't care. All right. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I think the fact that, you can look at it two ways. You can say, okay, well, Quentin Johnston's been here 3 times. That's, when you go over 2, that's kind of showing you something. Or then you can say they really like him and they're really interested in him. I think it's more of a smokescreen because Veach wants these teams to pick everybody else that he doesn't want in the first round so he can grab who he wants. And I still feel like he's going to leapfrog. I still feel like the man's going to leapfrog. I think, and then Brad, let me give you something because you deserve it. Because I said this last night. You weren't on the show, so I don't know what the hell happened to you, but I'm going to give you 2. Maybe I'll give you 3. I said last night, hot take, that Veach takes a tight end in the first round. That was my hot take last night.
I feel like be wrong. It's more likely than a wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree.
There's more tight end talent than wide receiver talent.
Absolutely. I think, I don't know why, but I just got this weird feeling that's what he's got in his mind. And I could be wrong, but that's just something that I feel. If he jumps on one, that would be nice. It would be nice to see him grab one of these. There's a certain tight end that I really like to see him grab. I don't think he's going to be available unless we do some leapfrogging, but I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, Dalton Kincaid is the one that gets a lot of hype.
I love that kid.
Which I understand. Don't get me wrong, but he's the one that's talked about as the guy. Then there's that Michael Myers, right? He's the one that he's got some good blocking to him. What?
You keep saying Michael Myers. It's Michael Myers.
Myers, sorry,
Michael Myers. I mean, damn, this is not a horror show.
He's the one that's got some real good blocking, right? We've seen him use in a passing offense too. To me, if he gets drafted, Blake Bell doesn't make the roster, right? He sort of shoves him out. So there are a few different guys that will be there available. To me, it'll just be interesting if Dalton Kincaid gets there. I'm not sure how teams will value him because we don't see a lot of tight ends go in the first round. We've seen a couple over the past few years, right? That guy that got drafted by the Falcons, he went like 4th overall. I can't remember his name, but he hasn't done anything since he's been in the league.
No.
There's been some guys that have gone in the first round. Some of them have, like any other position, right? Some have succeeded and some have failed. So there just isn't as much volume, so it's harder to predict where NFL teams will draft a tight end.
Well, given the fact that the Raiders just gave up their best tight end and probably the 6th, 7th, 8th best tight end in football because of his injuries, you never know. They might be trying to grab a tight end to fill that void. So we'll just have to see where they decide to land. But I have a feeling that kid's going to get drafted quick. He's good. He's a little Travis Kelce. I'm sorry. He is. He's just a little Travis Kelce. And I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that
it's high praise.
Really, man, I'm telling you, when I was like, okay, is this kid? I mean, if you didn't know what number he was wearing, you'd think it was Kelce out there because he's got the same moves. He modeled his game after Kelce. Yeah. So he's done everything he can. He wants to be Kelce, and I can't blame him. I mean, he wants to be the man. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to be Kelce? I mean, best tight end in football. You got Shannon Sharp that says he's the best tight end to ever play the game, and I actually kind of agree with him. Hey, look at this bastard. Look what he did. You know who this is? That's Corey because I blocked him. That's exactly who that is. That's all right. That's all right.
If I were to set the over-under at tight ends taken in the first round at 1.5, are you going over or under?
A tight end in what? What'd you say?
In the first round, if I set the over-under at 1.5, tight ends taken in the first round, would you take the over or the under?
That's tough, man. Probably take
I know that's how you live in Vegas. You know how this works. If it was easy, I wouldn't be doing my job.
I'd have to take the under.
Under?
Yeah. What about you, Tommy?
And what was say in the first 2 rounds?
In the first round.
In the first
round. I go under. I mean, not unless this is why I go under because the guy that you guys are talking about, he ain't gonna be there at the end.
Look, he says, just because I'm sick doesn't mean I don't give my daily JP joke. That's all right. Look, man, you can buy some Manscaped, but it will not get rid of the bumps. I'm just telling you, those little bumps will stay there
Seek
until the
medical
pills
profession.
kick in.
Medical. Yeah.
So look at Brad. Love it. What do you love, Brad? What do you love right now? I want to know what you love. Because if it's something that has to do with Corey's statement, you're not going to get no more Taco Bells. Let's see. Philip said Kincaid has the best catch rate and over 100 plus career targets over all of the 2023 rookie tight ends. He does. Reset wants to know if we think he falls to the second round.
No way.
I don't think he's going to be there. No, I don't. I think Veach may leapfrog for him. I don't know why. I just got a feeling Veach is going to leapfrog somebody. I just feel like it. I don't know why. I'm gonna. Don't make me, man. I'm gonna have to block you again. Son of a bitch.
Trying to have a serious sports.
Yeah, you can't have a serious conversation with Corey's around. He's always talking about bumps and shit.
I don't think that Kincaid falls into the second round.
No, I don't think so either.
If he's there at 31, I think Kansas City grabs him.
Yeah,
but I don't even know if he'll be there though. 31.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be there. I think if Kansas City wants to get him the first round, they're gonna have to move up.
Because if he's there at some of those, late teens teams, with the 18 to the low 20s, I think that's the value for him, right? Because he'll get taken before Kansas City, and he'll probably get taken before a real opportunity that Kansas City has moving up. Like, I don't know if they can leapfrog high enough to grab him, because if you're, pick whatever, especially some of these teams, like Seattle has 2 picks, right? Wouldn't it be you get the position that you really need up higher because of the Broncos pick? And then if he's there when you have your later pick, wouldn't that be a spectacular get as your second pick? Because he doesn't work out, you can say, that was my second shot. So who really cares, right? So I just don't think he slides that far. I think there are too many teams that see how the Travis Kelce experiment has worked out, and they would be so happy to get their, security blanket for the next decade.
I agree. And I think, they do want their Kelce to replicate the Chiefs, but you have to be able to have someone that is a Kelce in the NFL that can help groom. Even though he's modeled his game after him, doesn't mean a coach can teach him. And especially if a coach is not as tight end happy as Reed is. If you don't utilize a tight end, what's the point in having him?
Yeah.
So and he's right. The Chiefs, they do want to be us so bad. It's crazy. And they were definitely, like, the whole damn state is lower market than we ever were. But
you want to hear my Dalton Kincaid? He goes to the Lions, right?
If he goes to the Lions, they're a good fucking football team.
They've got 2 first-round picks. They traded away T.J. Hawkinson to the Vikings. There's a position need. They pick at 6 and 18. If he slides that late into the draft, the Lions are picking him at 18.
You don't think the Raiders are going to get him? Where are the Raiders at? Where are they picking at?
Don't they pick at like 8?
Yeah, they're down there. I mean,
they suck at picking tight ends, man.
I know. Well, Darren Waller was.
They might be able to pick them, but they can't develop them.
Well, I think Darren Waller was one of those guys that they were able to. They didn't have to develop because he already had the skills. He probably had more skills than he showed with the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And if he'd have been with a better football team, I mean, God knows where he would have been. He probably wouldn't have had near the injuries. Because when you're targeted as much as he was, and then they want you to go out there and be a Mike Ditka and just hammer everybody into the ground because you're not playing the way a tight end's supposed to play right now in this era. I mean, the poor guy's 29 years old, about to be 30. How many years has he missed in the league because of injury? I mean, how many games has he missed?
And some off-season or off-the-field stuff.
Yeah, and all the off-the-field. I mean, it's sad because I think he would have done a lot better in his entire career if he'd have been with a better football team. And I'm not just saying the Chiefs. I'm saying anybody that utilizes a tight end well. The
yeah, I
Niners.
think didn't they grab him off the Ravens practice squad?
I think they did. Yeah.
I think the Raiders brought him off the Ravens practice squad because he was having some off the field issues, and so he bounced around the league for a little bit, and then
he got himself straightened out, which I kind of like.
He did. Yeah.
He's a good dude, and I mean, I'm glad he got the hell out of there. What's the name of the tight end? The sophomore out of Georgia. I don't know. I don't know his name. I can't remember. Philip will know. Philip, what's his name? I know you know his name. Who do you say? Oh, he said, yeah, Brock Bowers. That's his name. He's pretty damn good. He's not eligible though, right?
I think that there are just so many more. I think more tight ends will go in the first round than wide receivers.
I think so too. You know, you look at all these guys as mock draft bullshit.
I think there's only one wide receiver worth taking in the first round. I think Njigba is the only first round wide receiver.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think you could really make an argument for multiple tight ends to go, especially later, in the late teens, early 20s. I think that's when we see the run on tight ends.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing, though. If you go by all these guys as mock drafts that change, daily, you got 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 rounds. They said that's the first time it's ever going to happen. The first 4 picks are going to be quarterbacks. Then you got wide receivers are going to go, and fairly quick within that next 8 to 10 rounds, or I should say 6 to 8 rounds. So then you're talking about moving the defensive guys and the offensive line guys that are actually the specialty in this group, in this draft class. You're talking about moving them up higher in the draft class, or in the first round. So if you actually went by what they said, which I don't think it's going to happen, first of all, I don't think you're going to see 4 quarterbacks go in the first round. The first 4 picks are going to be quarterbacks. I don't believe that's going to happen.
No, because the Cardinals would have to trade out of 3 in order for that
to happen. Exactly.
I just don't know if there's a top defensive position there, right? Quarterbacks go 1, 2, right? And then Cardinals are sitting there at 3. I think it would be really hard for the Cardinals to trade out of that spot and not take the best defensive player in the NFL this draft, right? I think that'd be really hard because how often can you sit at the 3rd pick in the draft and really convince yourself that you're getting the best player in the draft? So
Corey said, I don't think it is. I think it's 3 QBs in the top 4.
Yeah, I think it
could be.
Panthers, Texans go back to back. Cardinals get probably that defensive tackle from Georgia, right? And then I would say the Colts have got to finally draft a quarterback.
I like Marvin Harrison Jr. too. By the way, Reset. He's sick. What's Philip saying here? Philip says bold prediction: we draft Merritt or Kincaid in the first. Trade back into pick 30. Back into pick number 32 on day 2 and select Anton Harrison or DeJuan Jones if they're still there. It's pretty damn good prediction. I mean, if that happens, Veach has got a golden horseshoe up his ass, 24 karat.
He's got a rabbit's foot. He's got a 4-leaf clover. Okay, he's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he does. I don't know.
He's knocking on wood, seeing double rainbows, and having a laugh. That's what he's doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know what he did. Honestly, you could say people make deals with the devil. I don't think that's the case. I think he's just damn smart. I think he's just very good at what he does.
It's the Ivy League education, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm sure he abides by you make your own luck.
Yeah, I agree. What Corey say? He said, no, I think Houston surprises everyone and drafts Will Anderson. Maybe.
Defensive-minded coach. I can see him definitely doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all he is defensive-minded. Texas aren't
just
sold
so they
unless...
can roll another year with What's the quarterback with the stupidly long neck? What's his name?
Stupidly long neck.
Yeah. Have you seen the Texans quarterback?
Oh yeah. He looks
He's
like a
got
fucking
a long
giraffe.
ass neck.
Yeah, he looks like a giraffe.
Yeah,
you're right.
If
he
you
does.
could take Peyton Manning's head, but neck form, that's what they're running with.
Can you imagine Peyton Manning's head on his neck? That'd be one weak ass neck.
I think.
I mean,
he would make children cry.
He'd be a bobblehead.
He would be like
all day
scary.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, Davis Mills. Yeah, I don't
Davis
think that
Mills,
they run
that's
with
his
Davis
name.
Mills again. I think they have to go quarterback.
They have to. I mean, hey, look, who knows though? I mean, he ain't got no. The dude ain't got no sense. Well, wait a minute.
They're going quarterback.
They're going to go quarterback because they got a good quarterback. I mean, a good coach now, and he's pretty intelligent. He knows what he needs. I think he's probably the best move as far as a head coaching move in the last 2 years, probably. As far as head coaches moving around, maybe even 3. But he deserved that job. He's very good at what he does. So don't be surprised if the Texans, as long as their owner stays the fuck out of the way, don't be surprised if they're not a little bit of a contender this year quickly. He's good. He's a good coach. And he's brought in some damn good assistants.
I mean, when you play in the worst division in the AFC.
That's true, too.
I mean, 3 of those 4 teams are bad. The Titans, Colts, and Texans are all bad.
And the Titans fell off quick, too. That's crazy, man.
That's what happens when you don't have a quarterback and depend on your running back.
You got to remember, man, they got a better coach now. He's got all the power. That's the one thing he does have is all the power. He can make his decisions, and was in his contract. He makes all the decisions. So I think he's going to make the right ones. He's a damn good coach. I was happy that that he got the job. I wish he would have went somewhere else. Because I hate that team. I think they're honestly career killers. It's really, when you think about it, that's what they do. They kill careers. But can't change it. What Reset says, bold 20-24 prediction, AFC champion Jacksonville versus KC. Hey,
you mean
you know what?
I already in the Arrowhead Invitational?
Hey, I actually brought that up, and I got booed by Quentin.
What?
When I said that I thought Jacksonville was going to be a team this year that is going to be extremely tough to beat. And I thought they'd be in the AFC Championship game with us because I thought that Cincinnati and the Bills were going to back down, and everybody booed me. I agree with you, Reset. I absolutely agree with you. I think that's it's very, very possible.
Don't forget, if Lamar comes back, man, if they had Lamar last year, they beat Cincinnati. I have no doubt in my mind that they win that game against Cincinnati.
I agree.
Well, and if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. So.
Oh, God. Here, hold on. Let me give – that's for Reset because that was a damn good prediction. But, yeah, look, I think Jacksonville, they got the right coach. They got the right quarterback. They're doing what they should be doing. And I think they're going to be a tough football team to beat. It took them a little time to catch on this last season, especially, everything changing the way it did. Man, when you got Doug Peterson, a guy that took Flower Child to the Super Bowl and won, when you could take Woodstock and get him to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, you're doing something right. I think Peterson's got it.
I think Doug Peterson is a great coach. And
he is, man.
He can coach.
I think that defense needs to get a little bit better. And then Calvin Ridley, we'll have to see there what that happens. I think that they do need to get another pass catcher. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good team. And when you're in the worst division in the AFC, you're going to be able, I think they're going to be able to win that pretty easy. So, I mean, it's easy as it is to win a division. And then they'll be able to host the playoff games. So I think you can pretty much lock them in for a playoff spot.
Absolutely.
I feel very confident saying that. Plus, they're on this train of young quarterback on a rookie contract, right? He'll have one more year on that rookie contract, so you still have that advantage.
And he's got something to prove right now. So
yeah, I think that we saw that, that's a team that believes in themselves, right? You don't come back. You don't come back from that deficit against the Chargers if you don't believe in yourself. It would have been so easy for that team to roll over and to just say, it's not our year, right?
Yep.
Look what we did. I mean, if they would have lost that game, plenty of people would have been like, man, look at the turnaround the Jags did, right? We would all said that. We'd have been like, look at the turnaround. They went from literally the worst coach in NFL history to a competent guy that can run the locker room. But instead, they come back, they win that game, and they come to Arrowhead and they put on a damn good show and fall short to the best quarterback in the NFL. It's pretty.
I agree. I think that's what's going to happen. And look, Doug Peterson I know he has that in the back of his mind that, like everybody that probably has ever worked with Andy Reid, it's going to be really difficult to beat him. No matter what, it's going to be hard to beat Andy. And if he, I hope he gets to the AFC Championship game. He deserves it. I think he deserves it. And I think, honestly, as much as I didn't like Trevor Lawrence when he first got in the league, just because I thought maybe I actually assumed he would be arrogant.
Sunshine.
Yeah, sunshine.
Yeah, sunshine, yes.
Sunshine. He's not a bad kid. I mean, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's not arrogant. He's not Joe Burrow, which, I mean, that's saying a whole lot right there. He's just a good dude. What'd he say? He said,
yeah, I was going to say if we wanted to answer this question and then call it a show.
Yep, we're going to have
Why don't you take it first, JP? I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I mean, look, man, I'm sorry, but I would go with DeJuan Jones.
Yeah.
I would go with DeJuan Jones. He's a fucking freak of nature.
Dude, you'd have two freak of nature tackles, man.
You really
because
would.
Taylor is as much as a freak. That dude is huge, and he can move, man. You guys see the YouTube where he's pushing the sled?
Yeah.
You put those two dudes out there on the edge, dude. Oh my goodness. I mean, trust me, it'd be. I mean, you got some great defensive pass rushers in the league. I understand that, and of course, the guy would be a rookie. But I'm telling you, Reid schemes it up so that these guys will have the help that they need. You wouldn't be able to touch Mahomes if you get him. You wouldn't be. And I'd be okay with the guy from Oklahoma too, just because I think that you can plug and play a rookie left tackle because Reid can scheme it up. But, man, I'm going with the big fella if I had a choice, I'm taking the big fella out of Ohio State all day long.
Yeah.
Dude's a beast, man.
I think so, but I think to me this would be more of a question: is how confident are you about Jawaan Taylor, right? If you're confident and you feel really good about him playing left tackle, then you take the right tackle. If you are kind of iffy, you're not sure if he can, easily make that switch, then I think you pick the left tackle. So to make that decision, I think you really have to know how confident the team is, Reid is, Andy Heck, the offensive line coach, right? You need to feel how confident are they that your guy that you just signed can play the left tackle. I don't think you go with the defensive tackle because I just think that there is a bigger need at your offensive line. And so if you have an opportunity to seal up your offensive line for the next 4 years or 5 years, because you get the 5th-year option, right? If you have an opportunity to lock that up, I think you take that all day, which is why I've been saying that I think that you've got to get these guys on rookie contracts because tackles are just so expensive.
That's exactly what Reset just said. Yeah.
Look at what, Brown just got with the Bengals. Look at what we signed Taylor for, and these aren't even the best tackles in the NFL. These premium positions are so important to get on rookie contracts, and I can find a defensive tackle in free agency and him be competent. It's so much more difficult to find another tackle in free agency because a lot of times they just don't hit free agency. A lot of times they get locked up with their teams, and there's not a lot there. You can find guards and centers in free agency. That's possible. Yeah. Tackles, though,
premium position.
It's a premium position. Teams don't like letting them walk. So I would say
and the market's so damn high for him right now. I mean, it's crazy how high the market is, and it's not gotten any better. I mean, it's crazy what the kind of money that they're pulling, and I mean they're pulling wide receiver money from 2 years ago, if not more.
And here's the thing too, it's like the wide receiver, the offensive line. I'm okay with spending money at a couple of the positions because to me, it's that as long as the spending on your entire line doesn't go out crazy, then it's okay. You can live with that without the cap hit. So you can spend premium money on your left tackle and your left guard because the other three positions are on rookie contracts. You can live with that, right? Because the overall cost of your offensive line is low. And you need to continue to do that if that's your plan, right? You spend a bunch of money on your left tackle. You need to find some other rookie contracts along that line. You need to draft a guard to replace Joe Thuney because it's going to get – it already is expensive, but it's only going to get worse. So you need to find that next guy. So when Creed Humphrey – comes up for his contract, you can rotate that. You can give Creed Humphrey the big contract. Now you have a guard, your left guard is on a rookie deal. You just need to keep turning that because otherwise it's just going to balloon out of control. And I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes with a bad offensive line.
No, we've already seen that once.
I think Niang needs to get moved inside. I think if you move Niang inside, I think he can be at least a depth and rotational piece. I just don't see him factoring in being a tackle because if you're injury prone, especially with your lower half, that's a bad place to be if you're a tackle because you're out on the island, you got to move. Where if you're on the inside, like a Joe Thuney, then the amount of space that you have to cover is not as much, right? And so that you're not as much open space. So then you're protected because the position doesn't leave you out on the island as much. I think that's where he could help. And also, if you think about it, the guy's on, what is he? Is he on his second year? Because didn't he do the COVID year where he set out so his contract didn't start that year?
Yeah,
so I think he's on.
And then he played last year.
Yeah, so this will be his second season, really, I guess.
So he's still on pretty much his rookie contract. And then if you can get him where he's can live up to where he's drafted, he'd be a good replacement for someone like Thuney, I think. And then you stay on the cheap.
I agree. It's a tough situation just because Mahomes is just such a different quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not a Joe Burrow, so you don't have to have the absolute best right off the bat, but you have to have competence.
Yeah.
I mean, it was proven last year that, you had Andrew Wiley that gave up, 58% on pressure rate and 9 to 11 sacks.
And got paid. More.
And he got paid for giving up all those sacks on Patrick Mahomes that you really have a hard time sacking.
So he's not only increasing the value of mediocre receivers, but he's doing it for mediocre linemen too. Is that what you're saying, JP?
That's basically what I'm saying. I mean, when you got a below average tackle that allows that much pressure. And I still believe he allowed. I think Mahomes got sacked 26 times, and I think he was at least responsible for 13 of them, and directly responsible for 9 to 11. So, and he got paid. Now I get it. Mahomes got sacked 26 times, compared to Burrow's, what was it, 50 or whatever he got sacked. I don't know. He was sacked so many times. I don't know what it was last year, but I don't know, man. Mahomes is a different breed. You just have to have confidence and somebody that can give him a couple of seconds, and you're good to go.
He's the only player that I really believe actually lives up to the description of a unicorn.
Yeah, without
you can't explain what he does, man. You just can't.
Fail.
I remember one thing that I remember from the Super Bowl we lost is when he like you were talking about earlier, how he throws that pass when he's parallel to the ground.
Yeah.
And they show the defensive lineman for the Bucs, and the guy goes, "Mahomes, how's he doing that?" And the guy goes, "I don't know." He's like, "I don't know how he's doing that."
Yeah. That was pretty amazing to listen to all those takes, from all those guys. I still go back and watch them. But anyway, we got to wrap this one up for tonight. We appreciate everybody for joining. Make sure you go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code ChiefsFocus. Get your 20% off your order and get your entry in for the 4.0 kit. If you don't know what the 4.0 kit is, I will have a picture of it up here for you on the next show, or you can just go to manscaped.com and take a look at it. With that being said, we appreciate everybody for joining. Thank you guys for coming on again, and we will talk to you guys again on Tuesday. Peace out, everybody.